Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Cash Account. I will be doing a Numeron Winged Dragon of Raw deck profile. Before I get started, I wanted to shout out to one of my subscribers named Barrett Lee. I wanted to appreciate you, man. You requested this video and I wanted to put this one out first to show you how I appreciate my fans and my subscribers. So without further ado, let me get started with the video. And with my first card being Numeron Wall. If you control no cards except Numeron Wall quick effect, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard and activate Numeron Network directly from your hand or deck. You only use the effect of Numeron Wall once per turn. When you take battle damage, you can special this card from your hand, and if you do, in the battle phase after the damage step. This card is a great card if you want to stall for a game, and let's say like you don't have Winged Dragon Raw or a way to kind of like in your opponent, you can keep this card in your hand, it's in your turn, so your opponent has no idea what you're playing, and let's say your opponent pretty much summons like 8 different monsters to kill you, because they're probably not going to summon any negates if they know they can kill you. If they do, you know, that they do. So you special summon from your hand in the battle phase, and in the following turn, you can send them to the graveyard, activate Numeron Network, and start your OTK combo. So definitely 3 of. I would use this card as helps me every single game, like I would do 3 of those. Next is my 2 hand traps that I play, which is Max C. Pretty much I can discard this card from my hand. Every time my opponent were to special summon, I can draw a card. After that is Ash Blossom Void Spring. Pretty much if my opponent touches their deck at all, I can discard this card from my hand and negate that card's activation to bring a card from the deck or send a card from the deck to the graveyard. Next is Reactor Slime. During your main phase, you can activate this card effect, special summon 2 slime tokens. Aqua, Water, level 1, 500 attack and 500 defense. Also, you cannot normal summon special summon for the rest of the turn, except Divine Beast monsters. During the battle phase, quick effect, you contribute this card, set 1 Metal Reflect Slime from your hand, deck, or graveyard. It can be activated this turn, with only use the effect of Reactor Slime once per turn. I use 2 of these because this is the way I can pretty much get out my Winged Dragon of Raw and on my side of the field without triggering some of my opponent's monsters. I would just trigger some of my own and get them out in the field. And it's a way I can also get my Egyptian God Slam out in the field as well. I'll get to him in a second. Next is the star of the show, Winged Dragon of Raw. It cannot be special summoned, requires 3 tributes to normal summon this card, cannot be normal set to the field. This card's normal summon cannot be negated. When normal summon, other card effects cannot be activated. When this card is normal summoned, you can pay life points so that you only have 100 life points left. This card gains attack equal to the amount of life points you paid. You can pay 1,000 life points, target 1 monster on the field, destroy that card. Definitely a 2 of. You kind of want to see in your hand sometimes. Sometimes don't want to leave in your deck. You know, so it's a good card to have in your deck, you know, or hand. Next is Winged Dragon of Raw, Spear Mode. Cannot be special summoned, requires 3 tree roots. From either side of the field to normal summon, and it is normal summon to that side of the field. Then shift control of this card to the owner's side of the field during the end phase of the next turn. Cannot attack. Your opponent cannot target this card for attack or by card effects. You contribute this card to summon 1 Winged Dragon of Raw from your hand or deck, ignoring its summoning condition. And if you do, its attack becomes 4,000. So this card, I have summoned this on opponents, and they've literally just rage quit. They spent 20 minutes setting up their board, getting out their synchros, getting out their exceeds, getting out their whatever, and unbeatable monsters, boss monsters, and and that's their whole strategy to set that one board because they feel like there's no way an opponent can beat that. And I literally will summon this and break their entire board with 1 card, you know. So it's like after that they ain't got no more gas, so they gotta just rage quit. This is literally like best card in the deck. Whenever I have this card in my deck and I'm playing like especially above like platinum or diamond, like I love seeing this card. So definitely recommend this to any player coming out. You know, get 3 of these cards. It's worth it. Ultra rares, definitely worth it. Next is Winged Dragon Raw Immortal Phoenix. cannot be normal summoned or set. It must be special summoned from the owner's by its own effect. If Winged Dragon Raw is sent from the field to the graveyard while this card is in your graveyard, special summon this card. So your card. The effect cannot be activated in response to this card's activation. This card is unaffected by other card effects. You can pay 1,000 life points and one monster from the field to the graveyard. Once per turn, during the end phase, send this card to the graveyard. If you do, special summon one Winged Dragon Raw Spear mode from your hand, deck, or graveyard, ignoring its summoning conditions. Definitely a one of, comes in handy sometimes. Never know when you need it. But when you do, he comes out strong. So definitely keep him in your deck for one of. Next is Guardian Slime. If you take battle or effect damage, you can special summon this card from your hand during a damage calculation. If this card battles an opponent's monster with this effect, you can make this card gain defense equal to your opponent's attack during the damage calculation only. If this card is sent from the hand or field to the graveyard, you can add one spell card from your deck to your hand. Specifically list Winged Dragon Raw and its text. You can only use the effect of Guardian Slime once per turn. Definitely a 3-up, helps me out so many times. It's a card that if your opponent trying to go for game, I will summon him for the very last attack, so that last monster can attack it, send it to your graveyard. Well, sorry, the second to last attack. So the second monster can attack him, block that attack, and the last monster that attacks will kill him, sending him to the graveyard, so you can add one of your raw spell cards to your hand. That listed in his text. Next is my one-of, so this is my Raigeki, destroys all monsters on my opponent's side of the field. Harpy's Feather Darker, destroy all spell cards on my opponent's side of the field. Monster Reborn, which special summons a monster from either graveyard, and Terraform, that adds a field spell from my deck to my hand. Any field spell. Next, definitely one-ofs. If you're starting out with this game, I would definitely recommend getting these 4 cards first, because they can pretty much go in any deck, especially one if you have a field spell deck. This will go in any field spell deck as well. So definitely get these 4 cards so that you can get staples. These are one of the 4 staples I will put in any deck. Yeah. Next is Lightning Storm. You control no face-up cards. Activate one of these cards, destroy all attacks with the monster your opponent control, or destroy all spell cards to your opponent control. So they activate one Lightning Storm once per turn. Next is Ancient Chant. You can add one Winged Dragon of Raw from your deck or graveyard to your hand, and if you do, you should be summoning one monster during your main phase. In addition to your normal summoner set, you only gain this effect once per turn. Now, this is the next effect that's particularly listed for ancient, Winged Dragon Raw 2. Is that it's very important as well. You can banish a card from your graveyard. If you tribute summon a Winged Dragon Raw this turn, the original attack and defense becomes the combined original attack and defense of the monster attributed or its summon. You can only use the effect of Ancient Chant once per turn. So these 2 effects come in so much handy when you're like adding them to your hand, and then you're summoning your Winged Dragon Raw. Perfect combination. Definitely a 3 of this deck. Also, is a great baiter for because people realize, okay, he's playing Winged Dragon Raw. Let me keep getting Winged Dragon Raw to his hand. So I'm gonna negate that activation. So if you're trying to bait opponents, or you're just trying to end the game, definitely great card to have. Next is Numeron Calling. We're going to start Numeron combos now. If Numeron Network is on the field and you control no monsters, you can special summon up to 4 Numeron Gates XYZ monsters with different names from your extra deck, but banish them during the end phase. Also, you can only normal summon or special summon once the rest of the turn. So, great card. You can special summon 4 Numeron Gates. That's part of your OTK combo. Well, actually, it's not OTK. It's a second turn kill combo. STK. A great card to have. But just remember that effect of you can only special summon or normal summon once after that effect. So, yep. So just remember that when y'all doing that. So next is Prod of Prosperity. Banish 3 cards or 6 cards from the top from your choice from your extra deck, face down. The rest of the turn after this card resolved, any damage your opponent takes is half. Also, execute the top cards from your deck equal to the number of cards banished. Add 1 activated card to your hand. Place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. You only activate a second prosperity once per turn, and also another negative list card, you cannot draw by card effect for the rest of the turns either. The turn you activated the effect. Great card, saves me a couple times, and with this card, what I would do is I would usually either banish two of these cards and then one set of the Numeron, 4 Numerons, so that can give me 6 cards, so I can dig right to my deck and get the card I need. So next is Mound of the Bound Creator. This is an old card, but still comes in use a lot of times. Its effect is level 10 or higher monsters on the field cannot be targeted or destroyed by card effect. If a level 10 or higher monster destroys a monster by battle or sends to the graveyard, the player who controls the destroyed monster takes 1,000 damage. When this card on the field is destroyed by card effect and to the graveyard, you can add one divine monster from your deck to your hand. Alright? And I don't believe any of that, none of that is once per turn, so there's that. I only have one of them though. So, yeah. Next is my next 2 field spells in Numeron Network. During the main phase, you can send 1 Numeron spell card that meets the activation conditions from your deck to your graveyard. This card effect becomes the spell effect when that card is activated. You can only use this effect of Numeron Network once per turn. Numeron monsters you control can activate their effect without attaching their material. So this is combination with this card. Send us to the graveyard and push them in 4 Numeron gates from my extra deck. So next is my Blaze Cannon, my other Winged Dragon of Raw spell card. It's also treated as Blaze Accelerator. Once per turn, when Winged Dragon of Raw you control gains the following attack until the end of this turn. This card activation effect cannot be negated. This card is unaffected by your opponent's card effects. When an attack is declared involving this card, you can attribute any number of any other monsters that did not declare an attack this turn. This card gains attack equal to tribute monsters combined original attack until the end phase. After damage calculation, if this card attacks, send all monsters your opponent controls to the graveyard. So even if your opponent found some way to live and they set a monster in the field, all of it gets into the graveyard anyway. So yeah, but usually I kill my opponent with this card. So it's never really came out for that. So next card is Soul Crossing. During the main phase, immediately after this card resolves, tribute 1 Divine Beast monster. When you do, you contribute a monster your opponent controls, even though you do not control them, but if you tribute this way, it applies effect. Until the end of the next turn after this card resolves, you can only activate 1 card or effect per turn. Not including an effect of Divine Beast monsters. You can only activate Soul Crossing once per turn. Great Cub, I play as 3 of. I mean, if I tribute 3 of their monsters, and I still gotta activate more than 1 effect, I wasn't gonna win that joint anyway. So this is definitely a card I like to put in the deck. I use it whenever I see it, and I can use it. Never had a problem. Next is Ice Barrier. When an attack is declared involving an opponent's monster, change that opponent's monster to attack to 0. Negates effect. Also, you cannot change battle position. You can banish. You can banish this card from your graveyard, send 1 level 5 or higher water monster from your deck to your graveyard. Then you can add 1 water monster from your graveyard to your hand. Also, until the end of the next turn after this card resolves, you cannot switch summon monsters except water monsters. You can only activate this effect of Ice Barrier once per turn. So lastly, this card is great to send this to the graveyard and add 1 of these back to your hand if they're already in your graveyard. Or send this to the graveyard and add 1 of them back to your hand. So just a way to just kind of almost search these 2 cards, So just a way to get those to your hand if you already got them. Next is Metaverse. Target 1 field spell from your deck, activate it or add it to your hand. That's kind of self-explanatory why you need that. Metal Reflex Line, special summon this card in defense position as an effect monster. Gains 0 attack and 3,000 defense. Also treated as a trap card, and summon this way, this card cannot attack. So this is a great card to get him out with Reactor Slime. And yeah, so what is that graveyard at hand? Now going into extra deck, we got Egyptian God Slime. Requires 1 Aqua monster or 1 level 10 water monster to summon it. Oh, sorry, plus 1 level 10 water monster. Must first Must first be either fusion summoned or special summoned from your extra deck by attributing one level 10 aqua monster from with 0 attack. This card cannot be treated as can be treated as a 1 or 3 tribute or tribute summon of a monster. Cannot be destroyed by battle. Your opponent monsters cannot target or attack, or your opponent cannot target with card effects any monster you control except Egyptian God slot. So this is a great card to protect your Egyptian God cards and any other cards you got on the field. They can't be targeted, and is a good tribute fodder for your Egyptian God cards. Next is your Numeron Gate. Your Numeron Gate cards are they all pretty much share the same effect, which they require level 3 level 1 monsters. Cannot be destroyed by battle. At the end of the damage step, if this card battles an opponent's monster, you can detach one material from this card, double the attack of all Numeron monsters you currently control to the end. So all of them say the same effect. Summon 4 of them. Each time they attack, they double attack, going up to 16,000. The last one, is 16. So if you don't hit the opponent, but it don't matter. 16,000 is still pretty good. Next is their big brother. 16,000. Yeah. Numeron Gate Sunyon is a level. It requires 4 level 2 monsters. You can exploit summon this card by using number 1 Numeron Gate Econ. You can control as material and transfer it as a material to this card. If this card is extra summoned, you banish all monsters on the field once per turn during the next standby phase after this card was banished. You can switch summon this banished card. Then, if Numeron Network is on the field, you can also damage your opponent equal to the combined attack of all banished monsters. So if you already banished the first set, that's 4, right? And then if you do that again, and summon the next 4 again and banish those 3, and then use his effect, that's going to be 7,000 damage you'll hit your opponent. So usually, like let's say they summon a monster that I can't really destroy or I can't get around, I use the effect damage to kill my opponent. So lastly, I have my three link monsters of the deck. I have Blackwood Soldier of Chaos. It requires 3 monsters with different names. If this card is link summoned with a level 7 or higher monster as material, your opponent cannot target it with card effects. Also, it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. When this card destroys your opponent's monster by battle, you can activate one of these effects. This card gains 1500 attack. This card makes a second attack during the battle phase of the next turn. Banish 1 card. This is a card that if I'm dealing with a monster that can't be destroyed or targeted by effects, I use him to destroy it and get it out of to banish it and get it out of my way, and pretty much attack over it somehow. Yep. So that's one of my access ways of getting around one of my opponent's problematic monsters if all else fails. Next is a finish act Megaclops. It requires 3 XYZ monsters, unaffected by other monsters' effects, except those of XYZ monsters. Cannot be destroyed by battle except with a XYZ monster. You can target 1 XYZ monster in your graveyard and 1 card your opponent controls, or summon that monster from your graveyard. If you do, attach the opponent's monster to the card as material. Also, the rest of the turn, any damage your opponent takes is halved. You can only use the effect of Infinitrack Megaclops once per turn. This is a card I usually go to if I can't kill him with my Numeron cards. I'll get him out and just sit on him for a while, either go for game or find a way that I can deal with wherever my opponent has. Next is Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess. It requires 2 monsters with different names except tokens. We can activate 1 Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess. The original attack of the card becomes 800 times the number of link materials used to link summon. Once per chain, when your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can make this card lose exactly 800 attack, and if you do, negated activation. So definitely a great card if you're dealing with monsters with problematic monsters that have a lot of effects that they're trying to get off. This is what I would summon in that situation. Alright, so that's the deck profile. Now going into some of the replays to show you how the deck performs out in the meta out there, and I can show you some of these replays. And here is the first replay. Going out. Alright. So you gotta check out Ash Blossom, Numeron Network, Dragon Raw, and Metaverse. Alright, so right now they're trying to activate a Granite Fusion. I decided to negate that because it'll send 2 monsters to the graveyard of his choosing, and I'd rather not deal with that. That's a little bit too much for a little too much spice for me on a first turn basis. So let's let him, and after that he ends his turn. See what he's dealing with. I am my turn. Just set in Metaverse. Sorry y'all, Metaverse is outside. Alright, so now since he wants to play it cool, I'm gonna heat it up a little bit, get him to see I'm not playing around with him. About to hit this dude for 4,000. And to let him know I'm not playing, I'm gonna send him my 4,000 boosted. I use that super poly. I don't know why he didn't set that. 3,000, okay. At this point, he is not aware that I'm playing Egyptian Goblins, so that's why he banishes one of the monsters. And that's why I add one Dragon Raw to my hand. Alright, let's go on to the next replay. I decided to end my turn with my opponent go off, you know, because I pretty much had 2 ways to save myself regardless, you know? And especially if I want him to like destroy my Guardian's line, that way I can get my Wing Dragon Raw. So now like I'm not sure what those 3 face downs are, so I'm gonna use Prosperity, kind of bait out, choose to let it slide. So okay, and he's gonna regret that. Now I'm going to have my Harpy Feather activate Numeron Network. So the reason why I summon my slime in that instant, right, is that I'm hoping that next turn he destroys it so that I can summon my Guardian. Also, I could have killed him too this turn by like if he would have destroyed it. I chose to go this route too. Add my Wing Dragon Raw. That combo again. Try to stall for game. I understand, I've been there. So this card effect is if I destroy a monster, I hit him for 1,000. Go on for game. Cool. Next replay. This one's going to pretty much be a quick match. 5 extravagance, and this I want to show this deck too, this part too, because like, let's say he doesn't summon a bunch of monsters, he just summons one, can't get Spirit Realm out, can't tribute over 3 monsters. So I use this to kind of like bait out any Ash Blossom. Discard this. Get my Numeron network on the field. Summon my 4 monsters, and pretty much hit up the game. Alright, this is one of my favorite replays so far of this batch. It's against one of my favorite decks, which is Unchained. Set that. Just set my trap and wait. Put my Winged Dragon Raw. Now the reason why I summon my Winged Dragon Raw instead of my Winged Dragon Spirit Mode to my side of the field, because the Winged Dragon Spirit Mode could have been targeted. I wanted to kind of put him in the graveyard and set up and have me a setup for next turn. If I would have did that, he would have only had the attack of all 3 of them and wouldn't be able to kill him like with just 1 hit. So I wanted to make sure, you know, just thinking the long game. Because me playing them, I know how explosive they can be even with just 2 cards. Almost. No, yeah, I'm still recording. It's all good, bro. That's my one of my closest friends, Jack Zero. Want to be a part of this? He's in the chat with me right now. It's all good. It's all good. And boom. Tribute over 3 of his monsters. One of my favorite things to do with this deck. And now, yep, he ain't had no way to get rid of it. Now, boom. My turn. Pretty much secure. It's like cold mine up there. There we go. And there you go, guys. That's all my replays for today. Thank y'all for watching. If y'all enjoyed the content, please like, comment, and subscribe. My name is Cash Account, and I'm getting out of here. Y'all have a great day. Enjoy your weekend, and take care.